Welcome to Module 3. Well done for your commitment. We hope you found the previous module inspiring and that you are beginning to get a handle or an understanding on where we are going. Hang in there for this next session. This module is called Grooming, and our presenter is Pastor Ani Tangamataiti. Pastor Ani serves as co-senior pastor of 12 Stone Ministries AG in South Auckland. She is the ethnic leader for the Cook Islands Fellowship, works at the National Office as Office Manager and Events Coordinator. Pastor Ani is passionate to see the next generation grow, flourish, and go into the world excited for Jesus. This is a challenging session. This story of grooming will help you discern and respond effectively and equip you in preventing abuse right now. Remember, if you find this challenging, press pause and speak to someone you trust. Welcome, Pastor Ani.
Kia ora e te whānau. Welcome to Module 3, where we will examine sexual grooming. By the end of this module, you will be able to define grooming. Identify the 6 stages that may indicate that grooming is taking place. Children and young people's protection training is not simply responding effectively to occurrences of abuse, but also creating a culture of awareness that identifies the potential for abuse and responds appropriately. This module focuses on gaining this awareness and knowledge and therefore preempting grooming by identifying key behaviors that ultimately can lead to abuse. This presupposes that abusers sometimes attend churches. They are not strangers. They are frequently well-known, trusted people within the church community. Yet they seek opportunities to emotionally ensnare children into a world of dependency on them where they are groomed to be sexually abused. Grooming can happen online too. If you know what to look for and how the grooming process works, you can take action to protect all children. Remember, it's never the fault of the child or young person. All grooming is illegal. Note, some abusers do not groom children, but seek opportunities to abuse them without forming a relationship. Sexual grooming is the intentional repetition of specific patterns of behavior over time that violates the trusting nature of children and young people to achieve and maintain illegal sexual activity. Groomers may also build a relationship with a child's or young person's family or friends, as well as leaders of churches and organizations they are part of, so that they seem to be trustworthy to adults. Let's now dive into the detail. The key slide within this module is entitled The 6 Stages of Sexual Grooming. Let's examine each stage of sexual grooming process. Targeting the victim, gaining trust and/or control, meeting a need, isolating the child, sexualizing the relationship, maintaining the power imbalance or control. Let's now briefly identify each of these behaviors. Be aware, grooming can be difficult to spot. Wrong preconceptions about grooming make it difficult to correctly discern what is or is not occurring. Unfortunately, many people don't speak up, are dismissive or too trusting, even if they sense that something looks not quite right, or decide that what they see is not of great importance. Oh, that's just such and such. In a church, it's even easier to believe that there are no such people amongst us. or that grooming couldn't happen to our children. While we must be aware of the possibility of grooming, we also must not immediately suspect every male or female, every personality type, caring act, or an individual's one-off behavior as an indication that grooming is taking place. This is where you must work as a team. Remember, grooming is the repeated specific behaviors over time to achieve and or maintain an illegal sexual outcome. People who plan to groom children and young people are skilled at hiding in plain sight. They can be charming, friendly, caring, thoughtful, trustworthy, spiritual, and make great effort to be well regarded. Some may hold some leadership role within the church community. Be safety aware. All grooming is illegal. Anyone who engages with or contacts a child or young person under 16 years old with the intent of sexually abusing or exploiting them is breaking the law. Even suspected incidents must be communicated with your leaders and your CPO immediately for evaluation and response. This applies even if they haven't harmed a child or young person at the time. Offenders look for children and young people who have some type of vulnerability. This could be younger children, those with disabilities, those children with low self-esteem, those who depend highly on a specific adult to move forward in their education, spirituality, sport, or recreation, or for a place on a team, those in families where the parents are frequently absent and who rely on babysitters or caregivers to look after their children. For example, where both parents work or in solo parent families. Children or young people experiencing difficulties or clashes in their relationships with their peers. Tamariki and youth experiencing difficulties at home, like if they are experiencing trauma, abuse, neglect, or family harm. Children who are in some form of care. Leaders need to recognize and protect the children and young people who could be at greater risks of abuse. Targeting the victim can happen online too, using social media and messaging apps. Many children today have personal connection to the internet through devices that are frequently unsupervised. Groomers can make initial approaches online to test the waters of communication and privacy that they will maintain by meeting the victim. Therefore, before sending any communication, ask the boundary questions. Is this the right time, place, circumstances, and person I am now communicating with? Online grooming works by using social media and messaging apps to manipulate the child's behavior. Pretending to be someone else, pressuring a child into sending personal, sexual images or information and then threatening to share them. Separating the grooming process away from close adults or church so that they could speed up the process. Children have a right to be safe. Their most basic right is to be able to trust others who are entrusted to care for them. Groomers manipulate the trusting nature of children by befriending and establishing an emotional connection with a particular child or young person, watching and gathering information about the child, getting to know his or her needs and how to fill them. Begin building relationships with a group, then target 1 or 2 children or young people, giving specific attention to the child and even sometimes a family to win trust. Groomers manipulate the trusting nature of church adults by aiming to appear indispensable in service to the church, looking for jobs or volunteer roles that have contact with children, like babysitting, transportation, Sunday stewarding away from observation, avoiding screening and vetting check, interviews or scrutiny of any kind. Avoiding child protection training, leaders excuse this because of his establishing a reputation and say things like, "Oh, Bob, I'm sure he'll get round to it eventually." Breaking small organizational rules, boundaries to observe if anyone notices, therefore determining boundaries to what they can get away with. Using personal leadership authority or scripture to deflect or bury allegations. We all have needs: food, shelter, safety, but also relationally, to be acknowledged, loved, accepted, and valued. However, groomers can distort and manipulate these most basic needs to achieve their own motives. A groomer begins to fulfill a child's needs with gifts, affection, or attention. The individual becomes more important in the child's life. This stage may involve breaking rules the child's parents have set, and then the offender has a secret with the child that can be used as a threat. Groomers can manipulate relationships by seeking to build unusual connections with others beyond their role in the church. Example, an elder taking children alone to the movies and the holidays while the parents works. Giving special treatment to certain children, giving gifts either secretly or overtly to certain children or their caregivers or family. Befriending a child or young person by acting like their best friend or someone cool to hang out with. Connected to this is disconnection. The groomer's intention is to isolate the child from close adults, siblings, and peers. Isolation makes our world smaller. We lose perspective and balance, and relationships rapidly deteriorate. Isolation means manipulating or undermining a child's or young person's relationships with their parents, caregivers, or friends. This could include creating situations where they are alone together, spending private time alone together online or in person, persuading a child that a special relationship exists between them, providing special attention, encouraging a child to keep secrets, allowing a child to overstep boundaries and existing rules like taking alcohol or drugs. Giving gifts, inappropriate gifts, either secretly or overtly. Outwardly displaying favoritism, this causes jealousy and emotional separation with other family members and peers. Creating situations that give them opportunities to offend, such as offering unsupervised assistance. These two slides highlight the ultimate goal of the groomer: to sexualize the relationship and to secretly maintain the abuse moving forward. Now the dependency has been established, boundaries are pushed, and sexualized behaviors begin. Desensitization occurs very slowly and often initially portrayed as innocent encounters. Be aware of a person who repeatedly tests boundaries by blurring the line between appropriate and inappropriate speech or behavior, like talking about sex and sexuality, or being alone regularly with someone else's child, undressing in front of the child, downplaying concerns raised. insists on close physical contact with a specific child, such as hugging, tickling, making them sit on their lap, or inappropriate touching, accidental genital exposure, or touching of a child's genitals, erodes interpersonal boundaries, shifting from acceptable to inappropriate, like appropriate and legitimate touching to correct a swim stroke versus inappropriate touching accompanying a child to the bathrooms. Pushes acceptable sexual boundaries and introduces age, inappropriate sexual topics, materials, or actions into a conversation or situation around children, even when it's joking. Use alcohol, drugs, gifts, and other enticements to win acceptance. Provides access to adult material. Repeatedly walks in on children and young people in changing areas, showers and toilets, and defends this behavior. Makes a habit of undressing in front of children and youth. Talks about their sexual fantasies or their adult relationship problems with a child or young person. Once sexual abuse has occurred, a groomer must maintain control so that their behavior is not exposed. It is known that grooming as a victim is often a slow process and can go on for up to 2 years. Over this period of time and through the previous stages, the groomer makes the young person responsible for keeping secrets by using threats, tricks, coercion, bribes, lies, guilt, and other type of persuasion. Uses shame and guilt to keep children and young people silent. Like, if you say anything, I'll say that this was all your idea. Who do you think they'll believe? Often telling them their parents or other adults won't believe them. Uses their authority, power, and position to control or make a child or young person feel dependent or isolated. They may use their authority to control how a child or young person moves forward in their spirituality, education, sport, or recreational activity. Victims may not speak out because they feel confused, dirty, embarrassed, silenced, or ashamed, and everything is beyond their control. Fear they won't be believed. They will be shunned or blamed for what has happened. Don't understand or recognize that the situation is harmful or abusive to them. For example, they are too young to understand, are made to feel special, love the gifts or the perceived benefits that come from the relationship, depend on the person causing harm, like fear that the leader or coach won't pick them or include them for a team or trip. The person causing harm is an authority figure in their lives. Often when abuse is revealed, those receiving the information can be perplexed as to why and how it has been hidden in plain sight for so long, and why the victim has not sought help. This demonstrates the twisted manipulation of the groomer to maintain ongoing control while maintaining trust with close adults. It's often very difficult for a child or young person to tell a close adult about being tricked, groomed, or sexually abused. So being aware of the signs and signals of abuse or grooming behavior are very important. Often abuse only comes to light through behavioral changes, health issues, social and emotional withdrawal, educational decline, and through speaking with a peer. Grooming is a challenging topic because its deception strikes at the heart of the culture we place great value on in our churches, community, safety, trust, love, and care. As leaders, if you notice any concerning behavior, don't ignore it, but ensure it is followed up and ensure the safety of children and young people are your primary concern. I am aware that this topic may raise issues within your own personal history, and if so, then I would encourage you to seek help quickly. May I encourage you to build within your faith community a culture that reflects all that Jesus Christ is and the kingdom he continues to build within us. God bless you and keep you. Aroha nui.